are pleased to announce that for the first time ever in history, we have successfully resurrected a prehistoric pop culture icon.
The DireWolf.
You actually have DireWolves?
So, you probably have seen the headlines by now. Scientists have managed to clone a direwolf. Sounds like something straight out of science fiction, right? This is very exciting stuff, but the reality is a little bit more complex and honestly, way more fascinating. What Colossal Biosciences actually did is in a simple case of bringing back an extinct species. It's a bold step into the world of DeExtinction, synthetic biology and evolutionary science. And unsurprisingly, this has stirred up a fair bit of controversy in the scientific community. So, what's really going on here? Before we go full Jurassic Park, let's take this step by step. And first, let's clarify, what is a direwolf? Direwolves were real animals and not mythological creatures created by the popular media. They roamed North America until about 10,000 years ago, and they belong to the canid species, Canidirus to be more specific. Other canids that share the land with direwolves included the grey wolf, the coyote, and the dhole. However, direwolves were significantly larger and more common out of all of them. Due to their extreme similarities, the direwolves are often described as a sister species to the grey wolves. If they had higher numbers and were larger than their cousins, how did they go extinct? Truth is, nobody knows for sure. However, the most leading theory is that direwolves liked to hunt larger prey and were unable to survive the extinction of their megafaunal prey such as mammoths and ground sloths. With their extinction, they left behind thousands of fossils, some of which were used by Colossal Biosciences for their experiments. Now let's dive a little into the technology used by Colossal Biosciences for the creation of the direwolf. In few words, using the found direwolf fossils, they extracted and sequenced their ancient DNA, and they did the same with the blood of a living grey wolf donor. Once they had both DNA sequences, they compared them using artificial intelligence technologies to identify the genetic components that make a direwolf. Using genetic modification, they managed to insert the direwolf genes into the DNA of grey wolves and develop embryos, which were then implanted in surrogate dogs. The result of this? On April 2025, they announced the birth of Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi, 3 pups that have the genes found on the DNA of direwolf fossils. What is the controversy then? Did Colossal manage to bring back from extinction an animal by cloning it? Technically speaking, no. Cloning is making a genetic copy of something, and the process used by Colossal consisted in modifying the DNA of grey wolves to resemble that of direwolves. Think of it like recreating a dish you love at a restaurant. One method is to follow the original recipe exactly, using the same ingredients and cooking times. This is like true cloning. The other is to try to replicate the flavor based on memory and improvisation, similar to modifying an existing genome to approximate another species. This argument has been used by multiple independent experts, including zoologists, paleontologists, and geneticists. So why is Colossal Biosciences calling these pups direwolves? According to Beth Shapiro, the Chief Science Officer at Colossal Biosciences, it depends on the classification system you use. Species concepts are human classification systems, and everybody can disagree and everyone can be right. We are using the morphological species concept. And this basically means, if it looks like a dog, swims like a dog, and quacks like a dog, then it is probably a dog. But why would anyone want to do this? An important part, which has been overlooked in the argument of whether Colossal has brought back an extinct species, is the technology they developed to achieve this goal. According to their website, one of their core commitments is to improve all life on Earth, especially the species we have lost and the ones we are at risk of losing. They have shown these commitments with animals like elephants, for which they are helping to develop a cure for a deadly virus, and with the northern white rhino, which sadly there's only 2 living female species left. Not long after the announcement of the newly born direwolves, Colossal also announced the birth of the first cloned red wolf named Nekakeda, but this time using DNA from red wolves and coyotes. Red wolves have a critically low population in the wild, and by introducing these newly cloned individuals into their natural habitat, Colossal hopes to boost the genetic diversity and improve the chances of survival. Cool science aside, this breakthrough raises some serious ethical questions. First, what happens if these animals are released into the wild? There's no modern ecosystem that includes them. Currently, Colossal Biosciences is keeping the direwolves in a 2,000-acre ecological preserve at an undisclosed location in the US. But what would happen if they get free? Would they adapt or disrupt? Could they outcompete current predators or be unable to survive at all? Then there's the issue of care. These animals are the result of precise genetic manipulation. They are not just part of nature, they are part of a lab. So who's responsible for their well-being, and what happens if something goes wrong? But perhaps the biggest concern of all is, where do we draw the line? The technology behind this project has incredible potential, but that same power could be misused if it ends up in the wrong hands or guided by profit rather than purpose. Colossal argues that their work is about conservation and biodiversity, and to their credit, they're working on saving critical endangered species. But with the concept of DeExtinction, many people may think that it is pointless now to preserve endangered species if, after all, we can just bring it back with this type of technologies. So, the direwolf is not back, but what they achieved is arguably still very impressive, and they've taken a bold step into the future of conservation and synthetic biology. And one thing is clear, this is just the beginning. We are entering a world where extinction might not be forever, and that opens up big questions about what kind of future we're building. Let us know in the comments, would you support bringing extinct animals back? And what species would you revive if you could? And why would it be the dodo? Thanks for watching this video, until next time.